I'm gonna show you how to find wonderkids like this, or this, or this. In this video, I'm gonna lay out my 3 favorite methods for finding those hidden wonderkids. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video, where I'm gonna show you some of the most important things to take into account when evaluating if you wanna buy your next rising star. You might be missing some crucial things. My name is Coach Roan, and let's get right into it. Now, the first method to find your very own wonderkids is by using your scouting network. I want to focus now on manually searching players, since there is a very effective trick to use to find your very own wonderkids. Even better, the game will explicitly tell you which players are wonderkids. Start by going to your scouting screen, selecting players, and clicking on New Search. From here you can select your filters. For this trick you only really need to set an age range. I've set mine at 19, so I know I'm gonna be looking at those up and coming talents. And now for the fun bit. From whichever view you're in right now, right click on any of the column headers, select Insert Column, General and Media Description. This shows you the media description for every player. But we're looking for a specific description. Click on the media description header twice to sort the column in a descending order. Now the media descriptions begin with the letter Y, but we're gonna scroll down to the letter W. And you might be getting a sense of which media description we're looking for. That's right, the game will straight up show you some of the players which are considered wonderkids. Now in my case, most of these players are already playing in big clubs, but there is still one player playing in Greece. Now I don't know a lot about him, but his first touch and passing really excite me. I'll add him to the shortlist. This trick is an amazing method to get an instant shortlist of rising stars. But not a lot of players will get this media description. This is because it's not only based on their potential ability, but also their current ability, their reputation, their club's reputation, just to name a few. If you only use this method, you might be missing out on some real hidden talents. Let's look at the next method, for a different way to find those wonderkids. We're gonna take advantage of the fact that we can view the national teams for any nation in the game. In your search bar, type in a nation that you wanna have a look at. From there, hover over national teams to see all of the squads of this nation. Let's have a look at Brazil's senior squad. When reviewing a team page for a national team, you want to have a look out for any player that's particularly young for that squad. And what you would probably find for the big nations is that the quality of the senior squad is just so high that any wonderkid would struggle to break through. So you might want to have a look at some of the youth teams. But even for a nation like Brazil, just going one step lower to the under 23s, you can already see players at 18 years of age playing at this level. Now probably any one of these players would be an amazing wonderkid, but let's look at the starting defensive midfielder. Not bad, not bad. But let's see if we can do even better. I personally love to have a look at a nation such as Serbia. Not quite as high profile as Brazil, but still plenty of wonderkids to go around. But Serbia is just an example though. I'll put a list of some of my favorite countries to look at in the description below. If we look at their senior squad, we can already see 2 19-year-olds breaking through. Let's have a look at the first one. Oh, those mantles at this age? It's a shame AC Milan beat me to it. I'll add him to the shortlist just to see what my scouts think of him. You can of course have a look at the national teams at any time, but I would advise you review them once they enter an international competition to make sure that the squad selection is as good as it can get. To find out when an international competition will be played, click on the globe icon. Then select any of the continents and click on one of the international competitions to get more information about it. I now know, for example, that the next Under 23 African Cup of Nations will be on the 5th of November. Now, depending on how many international competitions you want to keep an eye out for, it might get pretty difficult to keep track of all those dates. A great trick to help you with this is to make a note for yourself in-game. From your home screen, select Notebook. In this screen, you can create a note for each of the international competitions you want to keep track of. Create a title from which you can recognize the competition, and on the reminder date, click on Select Date. Now select the date for this international competition, in our case the 5th of November, and click on Confirm. Once you get to that date, you get a reminder in your inbox, so you can check that international competition. And look, there's even a reminder for you to tap that like button. I can guarantee that if you keep an eye on some of the national teams, you will eventually find some amazing wonderkids. But you might still be missing out on some of the most hidden wonderkids, since you're limited by which players are and are not selected by their national teams. So if you're prepared to go that extra mile to find those real hidden talents, you might want to scout the youth intakes around the world. Start by clicking on the globe icon. Then select World and click on Transfers. This screen shows you all of the transfers that happened in the last year of your save, but it will also show you all of the youth intakes. Click on All Transfers and select Youth Intake. Every nation has its own youth intake date, and it varies from season to season. I'll put a link in the description below for a detailed overview for every youth intake date for every nation. Now you can put in as much effort as you want, but looking for this entire list is pretty ineffective. What I like to do is have a look at some of the biggest clubs in my favorite wonderkid nations, as well as the clubs who are famous for their youth development. For example, I was having a look in Portugal with teams like Benfica, Porto and Sporting when I noticed this guy, who was generated by the game only 11 days ago. He's just 15, but look at the high range on pace, marking and tackling. He's definitely going on my shortlist. Now we found one talent with each of the methods. Let me quickly get a scout report to confirm that they really have the potential to go big. It's been about a month and I'm loving these potential stars. 2 of these players can even be picked up for less than 15 million euros. I think we've got some wonderkids on our hands. Now we know how to find our wonderkids, but how do we determine that they are worth our money? Let's have a look at some of the most important things you need to keep an eye out for. The first and most obvious thing is to have a good look at his attributes and see if there's any big holes in his game. I do want to stress that you want to keep a realistic view on how much these attributes can grow. Take our Greek midfielder for example. He only has 8 for vision. Sure, he might grow through the years, but he'll never be a world beater for vision. This might really limit his ability to play as a playmaker. So if you're using that role and you're targeting him to play that role, you might be in for a bad decision. The second thing you want to check is to see if any big clubs are interested in the player. Now don't get me wrong, he does not have to be wanted by another club. But if for example Chelsea and Man United are interested, you can be pretty sure that this player has something about him. Another thing you might want to check is a player's personality, since this gives an indication of some of the hidden attributes of this player. Now in my experience, you really don't need a perfect personality, but you might want to avoid the bad ones. I've put all the personalities on the screen now, so you can check which of the personalities are good, neutral or bad. If you haven't found the player through the national team scouting methods, you might want to check if the player has recorded any national team caps. Now depending on how big of a footballing nation the player comes from, you might only expect some youth level appearances, or even some senior caps like our Greek midfielder here. Another indication that we've got a real star on our hands. And the final thing you want to take into account is if there's any worrying cons in the scouting report. The 3 things I always look out for are injury proneness, if they would struggle to adapt to your country, and if they have fear for big matches. Now you might know how to find wonderkids and what to look for when evaluating them, but what if your tactic that you're using them in just isn't working? Check out this video where I look at some of the most common tactical mistakes and how to fix them. I'll see you in the next video.